Episode 10 of season 3 is titled Home. It's very, very creative, that title.
Not a whole lot happens in this
No, not
episode.
particularly. It's pretty boring.
It starts with Rick seeing Lori's ghost again and running outside the fence, and everyone sees him just kind of going crazy. And later he tells Herschel that he's seeing Lori, and it's kind of weird the way they phrase this. He's like, I saw Lori and Shane in the town, and
and Herschel's like, okay then,
right, and so he means in Woodbury he saw Shane, but it's just the wording is kind of confusing there. And he says, I know that it's not really her, but there's got to be a reason. And Herschel's like, we need to leave. We need to get out of here. They're going to come for us.
Herschel keeps saying that throughout the episode. He's like, we're just going to get killed if we stay here. Which is fairly sensible. I mean, all things considered. It's like, well, since you didn't kill the governor, Rick, when you had the chance, probably should leave now,
But Rick and Glenn are both like, nope, we're going to stay. And Glenn starts to take more of a leadership role. And he's like, we got to start fortifying it. And he sends Carl to see where the breach was, where Tyrese came in. Tyrese and his group, and Carol and Axel start putting up
pallets and then metal on top of the pallets
in
to form
the
a
walkways.
protective barrier for gunfire,
and Axel and Carol start getting close, they start talking about how he was imprisoned and getting to know each other more, and we can see a budding romance there. At Woodbury, the governor asks Milton.
Oh, Milton.
Right, where his loyalties lie, and Milton's like, here, of course.
It's up to you, bro.
Right. And so he asks Milton to keep an eye on Andrea, because he's not sure where her loyalties lie.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of the bulk of the episode.
And then let's see. Earlier, the governor was like, "Oh, Andrea, you were good at giving that speech." It was not a great speech, but at the end of the previous episode, her little speech when he was out of it. Let's see. And so then Rick is hallucinating. Glenn's pretty angry because of his captivity with Maggie and Woodbury, and he doesn't at one point he asks her, well, I mean, I guess he doesn't directly, but she's
he's like,
she figures out what he's
Glenn's like, did he? And she's like, no, he just made me take off my shirt.
Yeah. So basically Glenn finds out that he didn't rape her, but Glenn's very mad about all this, and because he feels like he didn't protect her.
Yeah.
And so he's very mad, and he's like, no, we can't run away, we gotta fight. And,
and Glenn and Maggie kind of have a little fight.
Yeah.
And she's like, do you feel better now that you made me tell you? Now that you know?
And he's like, oh, yeah, so much. Thank you. And she's like, oh, no, not really. But,
and Herschel's just like, we gotta go. That's, pretty much his whole stance in this episode.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's Herschel, I know you're old and crippled, but, you could, take charge. Because then, and I think it's the beginning of the next one where he's Rick's still being crazy, and Herschel's like, you son of a bitch, come back here, Because Rick's just, trying to, be crazy and not make any decisions,
So, Michonne's just kind of taken, a back seat during all this. She's just watching and seeing what's happening. She sees Rick being crazy, and Daryl and Merle are still out on their own. They do encounter a family that
right they're wandering through the woods and stuff and arguing about which river the woods smell like.
That's a baby cry.
And he's no, those are two what did he say? Raccoons.
Oh, okay,
that's what I was like. Possums? No, raccoon. He was like, them's two coons making sweet love, Daryl. But then of course it's actually a baby.
And there was a family on a bridge. And so they go up and they rescue them. And I think this is a big turning point for Daryl because...
he's like, I gotta be a selfless hero now, Merle.
Right,
is that what you meant?
Because Merle, after they save the family, Merle's like...
he's like, I gotta get some supplies to make this worth my while.
And so he's, going through their car, and he's, threatening them with his gun. And Daryl's like, no, that's not right. And he puts his crossbow on Merle, and he tells the family, like, get in your car and go. Mm-hmm. And
this is also, I mean, I just want to note, this is kind of similar to how Glenn had, like, superhuman strength before, where, like, Daryl's, like, just obliterating these walkers' heads with, like, way too little effort. Like, they're just exploding from, like, impact.
There was even one where, like, he grabbed the bolt out of another one's head.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And then just, like, shoved it into Walker's head. And it's like,
unless that's through the eye socket, that should be more difficult than it was
that should be a
him.
lot more difficult.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So... yeah, and then, like, Daryl and Merle get in a fight, and Merle's like, you've gone soft, like, and they kind of get in a tussle, and Daryl's shirt gets ripped, and what?
What? I'm sure that wasn't at all intentional. Oops, my shirt got ripped open.
Well,
since
like,
Daryl's like the hillbilly heartthrob. Huh?
It's his back that got exposed.
Oops, my sexy, sinuous back is exposed. That wasn't intentional at all. Oops. And, you like this, audience?
And Merle sees all the scars from, like, childhood beatings.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I forgot about that.
And he's like, I didn't know. And he's like, that's why you left, isn't it? Like, it's like, he had to beat someone. You left, so it went to me.
Merle's like, if I stayed, I would have killed him.
Yeah, pretty much. And
no, not pretty. That's exactly what he says.
So, and Daryl basically says that he's going back to the prison, and Merle's like, I can't go back. And he's like, well, then that's your fault, buddy. And so back at the prison, the governor and his...
well, it's like Carol and... oh, wait, what? His what?
What they call his research team.
Right.
They attack.
Well, sure, but, like, so Carol and Axel are having a romantic conversation, and, like, they're pretty much about to start, like, having sex right in the... right? I think
kiss.
that's what...
Huh? Maybe just kiss.
I don't know.
They're in front of everyone.
Yeah, that just would have made it hotter for both of them. So anyway, so they're, like, having a conversation in front of the prison, and then, like, out of nowhere, Axel's head gets shot in.
Yeah.
And blood goes all over Carol, and the body, she starts, like, using his body as a shield as everyone starts shooting at her. And it's the governor and his men.
Yeah, and Rick was outside of the gate because he was going towards Lori's hallucination.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which, she's in a white dress. Supposedly that's a wedding dress.
Right, that's what it says on... that's what it says on the wiki, but I mean... and it could be, but it doesn't look like it.
Angel dress.
Yes, I think that's much more, like... I think that's much more likely. I think that it's just a, like... it's just meant to show that she's dead, like, like, not literally a spirit, but, like... and so, it's like a heavenly dress,
So then we see that it's the governor and his research team, and they're shooting, and, like, Rick kind of hides behind, like, behind the bridge.
Martinez is apparently a terrible shot, because he's just, like, unable to hit Rick.
Yeah, and, like, everyone else ducks, like, Michonne goes behind a bus, and it's just kind of weird because they, like, a lot of them seem to be shooting at Carol.
It's just like Axel's body just keeps getting peppered with shots, and like,
why are you trying? Why is Axel's body as protection?
Like, why are 3 or 4 of you, including the governor, like, why are you all trying to shoot Carol?
And maybe,
like, she wasn't.
Maybe she was like the easiest target.
And I mean, like. Yeah, it's a bit silly because it's like, well, geez, like, you're wasting a lot of effort and ammunition trying to get Carol.
Yeah.
You should really be trying to shoot Rick.
And then one of the trucks, like the governor's research team trucks, like, drives in and it, like, bashes in one of the gates and goes into the yard, and it opens up the back of the truck, and, like, all these walkers come out, and then the driver just, like, gets out of the truck and starts running away.
It's very foolish, because, like, you could have just waited
until the walkers were out and then driven away.
Like that would have been a lot safer.
Also, I don't think, and I could be wrong, I've never worked in a prison, I have no research, but I don't think prison gates would be just like, you could just, like, run them down with a car or a truck.
No, not that easily.
No, I feel like they'd be a lot stronger than that.
I mean, there's a lot of problems
wrong.
with this prison's like geography because the yard is right there next to the main gate, next to the road, next to the river, and with the railroad track. Like, yeah, there's a lot of there's no way that it would be that easy to just burst in
Yeah.
and get people out of the yard. That'd be insane. Yeah.
Um.
But yeah, so like pretty much that's pretty much it. They
Like the
release some
governor,
walkers in the yard.
And then, like, Rick is about to be, like, eaten by walkers.
Right,
like,
that's true.
Gets trapped,
and then Merle and Daryl show up and save him.
Right, and so they kind of accept Merle into the group because he helped save them.
Yeah.
And the governor and his group run away, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, and really, like, they should have used a car bomb, should have started shooting up the prison, and then driven a car bomb in there, tried to cause as much damage as you can, and then send in the walker truck. That would have been a good trifecta of attack.
It would have been.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much this episode. So episode 11 of season 3 is titled I Ain't a Judas.
And this one is mostly about Andrea
coming back, like coming to the prison.
Reuniting with her friends, trying to come up with a way to avoid more fighting, because back at Woodbury they're basically making an army and they're taking everyone in Woodbury that can shoot and training them to be an army for Woodbury. So she goes to the prison to try to like figure out a way so that they don't have to fight, and trying to save her friends in both Woodbury and the prison.
Yeah, and Milton's like, oh, she wants to leave, wants to like run away, and to the governor, and the governor's like, okay, help her. So let's see, she goes and gets a walker.
Yeah, she uses Michonne's trick of like cutting their arms off and like breaking their jaws so that they can't they can't attack, and it kind of makes their desire to attack go away. But then when she's walking with them, other walkers will leave her alone. And this is when they run into Tyrese's group out in the woods.
Right. They just, like, that's quite a coincidence,
it is,
really.
Yeah.
Like, how far away are you guys from Woodbury?
Yeah.
Like,
because it's been like 2 days, right? Like, since they left the prison.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And so Milton takes them back to Woodbury, and they find out that they were at the prison, and they're like, ooh, we can use that. And Tyrese, like, I know he's not, like, trying... Like, he's trying to find, like, a safe place, but he's like, we'll earn our keep, we'll do whatever you want, like, if you want us to fight with you, we will. He's basically saying, like, he'll kill Rick if that's what they want, like.
Perhaps.
You don't think so?
Well, I just remember later he's not wanting to, like, waste life or anything in the fight with the prison group. But I think because like they did everything possible to make themselves look like crazy like marauders, and the governor's saying like, we were attacked by this crazy ass group from the prison, and Tyrese is like, right, he was crazy there. Like he was very, very crazy. And so I think so it's like
they're making
Rick's
a good
basically
case.
Rick's just like making everyone turn against him to some degree.
And so Andrea gets there, and they're like really skeptical at first. She has some heart-to-heart conversations with Michonne, and Michonne's like, you're under his spell. I went there to expose him.
I question that because, like, expose in what sense? Like, just kill him? Like, just assassinate
that's definitely
him?
how it seems.
Because, like, in that episode, she was just, like, she broke away from the rest of the group with Rick, and then she, like, was just, like, lurking in his apartment. Seemingly just waiting for him to get back. I mean, it didn't seem like Michonne really had, like, any particular, like... Because, she says, like, I was going to expose him for what he was, and it's just not clear, like, how she was planning to do that. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
And she's telling Rick, like, well, you can be part of Woodbury. We have plenty of room. And Merle's like, that's a lie. Like, and Merle and Herschel have like a heart-to-heart moment talking about like their amputated limbs, and Merle's like, when the governor gets here, he's going to kill me first, and then he's going to kill this person, and then he's going to kill your girls, and then he's going to he's going to kill Rick last so that he watches all of his family and friends die.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of man you're dealing with. And yeah, I think it's weird that Andrea's like, I gotta see Little Ass Kicker. It's like she's been named for like 3 days now, and they're
but
still calling her
Little
Ass Kicker.
Everyone quite sensibly hates the name Judith. Yeah.
And then it's kind of weird because she like waits until the end to like ask like
to ask about Shane.
Yeah,
which is like
throughout
that
she was
make any
asking
sense.
about like Lori,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like asking about different people that she knew,
Yeah.
and then she's like, what about Shane? And Carol has to tell her like, oh, Rick had to kill him because Shane tried to kill Rick, and she's like, Shane loved Rick. It's like, well, Shane loved Lori.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird because like Andrea and Shane kind of had like a thing, so like why wouldn't she ask about Shane first?
Oh no, I think it's just like from the audience's perspective, but it doesn't make sense from from her perspective.
No.
Yeah, she should ask about Shane maybe first or second. Yeah.
So then she goes back to Woodbury, and Rick gives her a car, which
apparently like even with their limited resources, because like then in the next episode they're gonna go back to like Rick's original town in search of resources because they have so little weaponry and supplies.
But they had
apparently
to,
they have
give
a working car
with
enough fuel
gas
to get back to Woodbury, and they're just like, oh sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's not a big deal to just give it to Andrea. Yeah. And so before she leaves, Carol is like, "Oh, have sex with the governor so hard that he passes out, and then
give him the time of his life."
Yeah, and then kill him. Which I mean, there are easier ways to like go about that. I think Carol just liked the idea of like Andrea having such great sex with the governor that he was deeply asleep.
I mean, I think
what she was into.
Carol's go-to is kind of sex, like.
Yeah, probably.
And then after Andrea leaves, like everyone in the prison is winding down, and Beth decides it's time for a sing-along.
Gross.
And she starts singing, and it's like no one wants to hear that, and I don't like it. I don't like it when she sings.
Of course not. No one does. Yeah, but she's singing the song.
You gotta hold on.
And then
hold on.
And then it turns into, I'm assuming, the original recording.
We're assuming.
Yeah. Or she just develops a deep voice, really
very deep voice.
Yeah, and continues being Beth. Yeah. Yeah, and then it's like then Andrea banged the governor really
gets back
well,
to Woodbury. And she told him like, "Oh, I went to the prison."
Oh, that's true.
And
yeah,
he's like,
and
he sent you back, and she's like, "I came back," and the governor's like, "Because you belong here," and kissed her, and they sleep together.
Mm-hmm.
And then she like while he's sleeping next to her, she gets up, and we see like her naked butt.
Mm-hmm.
It's for the ratings.
Yeah.
And she goes over and she's like holding a knife over him, and so many lives. So many lives would have been saved if she had have just done it.
Yeah.
If she had just killed him right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't because she's starting to have feelings for him, and she puts the knife down.
Yeah. No, it's silly. Yeah, she just can't go through with it, but it would have saved a lot of lives.
Yeah, because she was like upset that he was building an army and wanted the kids to fight. And
which, I mean, is okay. Why doesn't she complain about Carl?
That's a great point.
Thank you. I mean, it's just like, it's just silly. It's like, okay, it is silly to say that, okay, there's a reason that historically people were considered adults when they were around 13, which is what the governor was saying when they were like, when Milton was making his roster of people to like form the militia. He was like, what about men and women 13 and up? And it's like, well, yeah, because I mean, there's like, and in this world, it's not like you have the luxury of
No.
Of being like, oh
Of
no, you
waiting
gotta
until
wait
they're
until
18.
everyone's 38 until you can put a gun in their hands. Like, no, well, geez, not really.
Yeah.
You can't just wait until everybody's 52. It doesn't work that way. You can't wait until everyone's 97. It doesn't work that way. Like, how are you gonna, like... You'd prefer that they're just all eaten by walkers long before that?
That means that later on at Hilltop, only old man and old woman could fight.
Yeah, they have to shoulder the entire burden. Yeah. Oh, no, it's... Yeah, but, like... so Andrea's, like... Andrea doesn't kill him, and then, of course, so everything has to continue, pretty much.
And that's kind of where that episode ends.
They really stretch out... Because this season is longer than... Like, the second season was much longer than the first, but the third season and on is longer than the second season. Yeah. And they really, like, just stretch it out.
The fight with Woodbury.
Yeah. It's much longer than it needs to be, yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of this episode 11.